Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Lady Band Tits podcast. My name is Kara, and I'm here with Kayana and Pearl. Pearl is from Chabasco. It's a band in at Orcas Island in Orcas Island, Washington. So we're happy to have. She's our first guest, which is like, whoa, that's
Woo.
amazing. But yeah, so I do a show called The Local Music Scene. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and look it up on Instagram, or I also have a podcast with them called The Local Music Scene with Kara Jean. And so I interview local artists, and I happened to interview Chabasco a couple of months ago. So Pearl has been someone we wanted to bring on because she has a really awesome perspective, and her and Kayana work with that band together. So we thought it would be really awesome to kind of bring her on and have that perspective from her. But I just want to let you know too that we're here to support the artists and for people who create and play music and do what they love. So if you want to join us in our open chats about like all of what we talk about and the life and creativeness and supporting the people we love, please leave a comment or a message for us. You can DM. You can also you can also email us at ladybandtitspodcast@gmail.com. So, Pearl, how's it feel to be our first guest?
Very interesting, especially because I couldn't be on the last podcast because I had COVID. So, hey, fun set of circumstances.
Right? I know. It's great. We're happy to have you, man. I'm excited for this talk. So I kind of want to start in the beginning with you of like, I know you're also a musician. So can you kind of give us a little bit of your background on like music and all that kind of stuff and how you got to Chabasco and came to that situation?
Well, if you saw the previous podcast with the local music scene, you know that my dad is a musician. He's the bassist of Chubasco.
Yeah.
So music was always like a part of my life growing up because he used to have like open community jams every week at his house. So for a while, I couldn't escape it. Luckily, I've embraced it in my adulthood, but oh boy, teenage Pearl was not a fan.
I was gonna
From
say,
the womb, she was exposed to all the music and
wow.
The crazies,
the late night music jams at his dad's garage or her
rock and roll is in my blood.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. Though I would probably live in it because I love music so much that it would probably actually. As a teenager, I was just surrounded in it as much as I could be. So I'm kind of the opposite, unfortunately. But I mean, who knows? Maybe if it was in my house like that all the time and people there till all hours of the night, that would have maybe changed. Yeah, I probably might not.
It didn't help that it wasn't very good most of the time.
When we say like music every Friday night at Jimmy's is more of, it's called train wreck for a reason, because there's every musician of every caliber, like experienced, non-experienced, just picked up a drum set, or a drum stick, and it's fun.
And you can't forget the beer was a flowing, which didn't help anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
they sound great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the like thing, right? Like you get to experience that kind of environment so young, but also like be able to I'm gonna pull myself a little closer and be able to kind of know what you're getting into if you decided to go into music, and what the kind of scene is kind of like, right? So I feel like that's kind of a cool experience as a child, but also you know, in the formative years of like your teenage years, you're like, God, Dad, you know, I just want to go to bed at 10. Do we have to stay up till 1?
What was your first instrument?
Oh, my first instrument, probably piano. I mean, my parents put me in piano and guitar lessons like at a young age. Also, do vocal cords count? Because probably vocal cords first, and then piano and guitar. And but I stuck to singing the most because I enjoyed it the most. Notice how I don't play piano or guitar anymore.
The ukulele, it's a tiny guitar.
Yeah. I mean, I picked that one up when I was like 18 or 20, somewhere in there.
Later.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely I started young too. So that's cool. Which one did you like more? Like do you have a preference like when you were a child? Obviously now is different, but
well, I think I enjoyed playing the piano more, but I enjoyed my guitar teacher more.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so what was your first, like having been around all of that, I'm assuming that your parents went to concerts and stuff. So what was your like first major concert that you went to?
Well, the first concert I remember going to was at the Orcas Center. It was Asleep at the Wheel when I was a wee child. And all I remember is the joke we came up with, which was I was asleep in the seat. I did not enjoy it very much.
That's awesome.
My first big boy concert, as I will describe it, was probably Bowling for Soup in Seattle. That, oh my God, so incredible. Like, my dad and I love Bowling for Soup. I introduced the band to him when I was like 12 or something. And we loved them ever since. And that was where we discovered the Dolly Rots, which is our other favorite band together.
Okay. I've never heard them. I'll have to look them up. Cool.
Oh, so good. I love those guys.
They're
That's awesome.
Are they local to, no?
Nah, I think they're from California.
We're local to the West Coast.
Yeah. Right? Man, the Bowling for Soup, that brings me back, man. That's like late 90s, right? Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I got into them in like the 2010s, but yeah, I've loved those guys ever since.
It feels like a lifetime ago for me. Like the 2010s were I was in my 20s. So like it feels like a whole nother life, you know? I keep going, is everything just from high school? You just take all my 20s and put it in high school, and that's kind of where my brain has now put it. It's like, oh, all of that is just coupled into like that era.
To quote Bowling for Soup, high school never ends.
Yeah. Right? That is so true. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like we had talked a little bit about like our first concerts on the last one. Yeah. And I mean, I've gone to way too many for me to even be able to say anything about it, but I love concerts. Do you still go to them?
Oh yeah, I've seen Bowling for Soup again in Seattle since then, and my dad and I have gone to like 4 Dolly Rots concerts at this point.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we flew down to San Francisco to see them. Like we were there for one night.
I love traveling to see artists. Yeah, man. Who have you seen the most other than the Dolly Rots? You said. Mm-hmm. Okay. Other than them, you know, anybody that is kind of name that people would kind of know. Have you seen anybody else that's been huge that you've seen a couple of times?
Not a couple of times. My friend took me to see Death Cab for Cutie once. That was awesome. Yeah. And Pup, another friend and I went to go see Pup together, and that was so fun.
So you're in that like indie, emo, punk rock. That's like this Providence, you know, Panic at the Disco, that kind of.
All the way. I never left my emo phase.
Dashboard Confessional. Yeah.
It was still there.
I saw Death the first time I saw Death Cab for Cutie, it was they opened for Dashboard Confessional in Northgate when that was not a mall. And that's how old I am, people, if you know what I'm talking about. And that was like early 2000s, 2001, 2002, something like that. So they were just like, I think they were just coming out or getting their name out around that point. I feel like they were new, if I remember correctly. But man, they took off like wildfire. Like they're just, everybody loves them, you know? At least if you're kind of in the Seattle area. I mean, obviously other people do in the rest of the world, but back then it was like Seattle was kind of their territory, and everybody, oh my God, they're gonna be here. And then I saw them again with my big sister in Seattle at the Crocodile before they moved that. And I mean, they're just a great band. They're just an overall like fantastic band, you know.
It was such a fun show. I'm so glad my friend took me.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what, you know, I think is more, me and my mom were talking about this, and it was, so we were comparing, we had watched together the Taylor Swift Eras tour video, right? Because I didn't get to go because I gave up my ticket to my best friend. And so, and mind you, people, that was crazy. I got the very last Seattle ticket for $69 up in the nosebleed section where she was going to be this big. I sold that ticket to my best friend for $800. She wouldn't give me less. So I didn't get to see her because I was stuck here. But so we were watching that, and we were talking about like different the way concerts are now, right? And how they are, like, hers isn't like flashy, right? Like there's no like, yes, she changes her clothes and she's got dancers and shit, but she's not like a Cher who like changes every outfit for every song, and or Fall Out Boy's got fucking fireworks everywhere, and you know, it's, or stuff on the stage, or people coming out to do interpretive dance or whatever the hell, right? She's more like an Ed Sheeran where she's up there just doing her thing. But the thing is that I was talking to her about it is because some people don't need all that flashy shit. People go to see her, let's say Taylor Swift is the example. People go to see her because they love her music and they just want to hear her sing the songs that everybody loves, right? She doesn't need all that flashy shit because everybody wants to see her, you know? So it was interesting because I was kind of going through why I've seen so many artists so many times, and why I keep going back if their show isn't great, right? So even if they're my favorite band, you know, why would you go back? You know, what's the purpose if they don't put on like a flashy show, right? And I'm like, man, it really is that like mentality of just wanting to hear them sing your favorite songs live.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you guys have a hot take?
I think it's all about the energy, like,
and that too. Yeah, you're right. Yes, that has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, like bringing up the Dolly Rots again, just because I've seen them the most. Like, it's just two people, and then they hire a drummer to come with them. Their energy, especially like on stage together, insanely fun. Like, they just bring such a good vibe that it's like I'm going like anytime I can just to like be in that like fun environment.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point. Like you have to have a really good like chemistry with the people around you. Like I go to a lot of shows alone because I don't have friends to go with other than Hanson. And I've seen them. I've been 30-year fan, and I've seen them, you know, fucking 17 times or something. So I've made friends along the way, you know, because we all get together as a group in Seattle, and so yeah, so like there's that. But other than them, like it is really about that whole like chemistry that you have with everybody. Because like I just went to the Fall Out Boy concert, and the two people that were next to me on either side had never seen them live before. They came for what was his name? Jimmy Ray or whatever the hell his name was. And so I was like, man, I feel kind of old. I've been to 5 of them now, and you guys are new at this. And, you know, it was kind of like a weird thing, but, and it ended up being great. We all were just like, yeah, by the time they came on, you know? And so, I think the energy has a lot to do with it too. You're right. And how they treat their fans and how the fans respond to how they perform. So yeah, it's definitely a different vibe if you don't have that like fun environment, you know? So I agree with that wholeheartedly, for sure.
Yeah. I want to know what's your most influential like band or music? Like what do you pull from when you like creative, like, because you play, so it's like, but you also write songs and stuff like that. So like what inspires you to write, or how that sound, how to make it sound?
I mean, honestly, Rafa inspires me a lot because he's written most of the Chubasco songs.
Yeah.
But like, I'll be real, Bowling for Soup is a huge inspiration, especially how they like don't fully take themselves seriously. Like that part I really like and appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely do have a more relaxed demeanor? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting because I kind of get the vibe that you are kind of that way, that you're just like chill, you know?
Yeah. It probably comes from being raised with the rock and roll mindset growing up.
This is a baby boy.
Yeah, kind of can't take yourself too seriously when you got drunken musicians hanging out at your kitchen every Friday.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's growing up. Yeah, again, going back to that, like growing up with that, it kind of influences you to be chill, you know? You can't get to that without being chill. So that's great. Yeah. Then do you write your own songs? I forget.
Yeah, I've written a few at this point. We've only kind of performed like 1 or 2 of the songs that I've written at this point, but I've dabbled with writing songs since like 2020. My first song was Welcome to 2020, and it was just a rant.
That's amazing. I've tried to go back and write about 2020 because it was such a crazy life. But like also, yeah, that be like your first, was that like your first time actually writing?
I mean, like as a kid, I would like put things together and never make anything of it because I wasn't playing instruments at that point.
Yeah.
And like, I like poetry. Sometimes I'll pull out a poem just when I'm bored.
Okay.
So like at that point I had started playing the ukulele as something to do. And I was mostly just like doing covers of songs that I liked.
Yeah.
But then finally I was like, you know what? This fucking sucks. I'm going to write about it.
I think, you get to that point of like, because I started writing when I was 19 and I didn't really know how to. I was kind of just like in a limbo of like, I love music. I just want to learn. So I ended up going to a music school and I had a songwriting teacher, and that's where I learned. And he literally just threw me in a room. Okay, he didn't literally throw me. He put me in a room and he literally left me there until I came out with some sort of a song, right? And so I was like, okay, this is like 4 weeks into the class. He's given us enough to like work with. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I sat there for 2 hours, like writing. And then I ended up giving it so we ended up making a song out of it, and he put it on his album. But like, that was the first time I'd ever really realized that like, I want to get out another dimension of how I feel rather than playing the guitar or playing the drums. It was a different, it was getting those thoughts into words, you know, onto a page. And it was like the first time I was like, dang, that was kind of cathartic and great like I didn't even know that I was capable of doing that. So
getting the words out is a good practice.
yeah. And up to that point, I'd had a lot to say. I was up until I was 19. And I just was like, after that, it was like all kind of angsty, and, luckily in that point, you had the whole emo scene coming in and driving in that direction. And then Fall Boy came out and I was like, yes, my people. Because Hanson isn't really that like emotional. I mean, they have really great songs, but it's not like that. They're a totally different vibe. And that was the sound of me knocking my cat off. I'm sorry. He was a little more dramatic than I thought he was going to be. He's trying to go after my phone, and I don't know what is going on with him. So it was kind of cool because that's when I really started to learn how to write from a feeling and the experience rather than just poem-ish, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And actually having structure and a story and all of that kind of stuff. So I agree. I mean, man, you definitely. What was your like first song that you wrote? Do you know? Like, oh, you told us it was the 2020.
Yeah.
Was there one before that?
No, that was the first one that was like, oh, this is a song that I am writing and I like put out into the world instead of just for me. And then I think my second song, something like that, was a rant for my friend who had been like harassed by a guy at a bar. So I wrote the song "Fuck Off." Yeah, and I think we're gonna add it to our second album at this point. So awesome. It's fun how those things that like, even if they are just like, oh, I need to get this out of my head, they can come back in different ways and like become something.
Yeah, and that's what I think the great thing about music is that I've learned is, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have any restriction on what you're writing about because somebody's can relate, and that was where, I don't know if you struggled with this, but that was where I struggled is, if I put something out, is it going to be worth it? Because are people going to hear it and feel how I'm feeling in that moment that I, when I wrote it? So it's like, will anybody like it? Will anybody, and maybe that's my own insecurities also. And I recognize that, but also just like the fear of like, man, if somebody hears this, like that first song, when he played it live at Blue Moon, I was like, all right, here we go. Like, so, and I actually had performed with them in the very beginning for a little bit. And so singing it myself, and it was hard. It was like so vulnerable, and you're just like, oh my God, are people actually going to like this? And, that kind of stuff. But did you feel any sort of reservation when you first put it out? Like, was there any fear behind it, or were you just like, fuck it, I'm doing it?
Tell us. Oh, I want to expand on this because, like, I know that you're in the band. So tell us what it was like joining Chubasco, and then also I want to know more about how you feel about working with your dad and what that's like, because your dad is such a great, like, people who know him, it's like he's a great guy. He's fun. Like, I don't know, he's just spunky, and he's Jimmy. Like, it's a great, I don't know how to explain his personality. You just have to know him to kind of really love him, and you love him because he's just him, honestly. So it's like, how did you come to join Chubasco, which is, that band that you were in with your dad? And then what's it like collaborating and working with your dad?
Well, at first it was just gaining the confidence to play and sing in front of other people instead of just like in my house on my couch.
Yeah.
And like Trainwreck was a big part of that because I knew that it was like a no judgment zone where I could just bring my ukulele and play and do whatever I wanted. Mm-hmm. And people would be there for it. And like, that's how I met Rafa. Mm-hmm. And really the way I joined Chubasco was kind of on accident. I was
Tell the story.
I was just doing some covers at Trainwreck, and Rafa was like, "Hey, we have a gig coming up. Do you want to like open for us? Kind of like do a couple covers and open for us." So I started going to practices so we could like play songs together and like try to nail that down.
Yeah.
The gig got canceled, but I continued going to the practices because Rafa was like, just come on, like why not?
Yeah.
And then he started teaching me a couple Chubasco songs.
Yeah.
And then eventually he was like, "Hey, instead of like opening for us, do you want to just join the band?"
The band at
So,
this. Yeah.
The other side of that though was really what had happened from like Rafa, my husband's perspective, was that Jimmy was playing with him because he was in the Chubasco.
Yeah.
And they had been going to practices. And Jimmy, her dad, was like, man, I really want to encourage Pearl to like chase her dreams and be a musician and write and do all these great things. And, he was telling my husband this, and Rafa was like, okay, bet, like I'll get her to join the band. Like, so like from the other side of it, he was like, hey, I'm gonna ask you to open for us, but come to practice so that I can teach you the song so that you can join the band.
Eventually come and join.
And to be a part with your dad and to like,
so it was calculated.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, tell me how you joined, because I know the story was like more of like, I think your dad really, he wanted to play with you and he wanted to have those memories like to share with you. And that was the sweetest thing, is that he wasn't going to like force you. He wanted it to be fun for you. And so he like, not like, he just said it. And my husband was like, yeah, like I bet I can like get her to join, and it was just kind of like, she's got a cool sound. I like her voice. I like her vocals. Like, it would sound really good with the ukulele parts, and I can write ukulele parts for her so that she can sing with the band. And it's kind of like this unique sound to have like a punk band with a ukulele part, but also like a female vocalist to partner and duet with his voice, which like, it just goes really well because like your singing voice is really good. And I think that he also was like she needs a band. Like, she needs people behind her. She needs to be able to step up and like, play, because she's awesome. And like, I think Jimmy convinced, Rafa to be like, hey, let's get her into the band.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not mad about it.
I'm not either. I think it's a great sound. It's one of the coolest sounds that, like, I always say that it's like one of my favorite bands because one, I get to be a part of it, on the back end of it. But yeah. And so what is it like working with your dad, him being in the band and having to do like shows, and what's that dynamic like?
I mean, like, my dad and I, we're chill together. Like, we're buddies. So it's like, I just kind of get to hang out with him. But also, he's my dad. We push each other's buttons sometimes. There are certainly, like, little things where it's like, bro, what the fuck? But, like, that would happen no matter what. It's just added complexity because, like, he's my dad. But that also means we don't stay mad at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Is there ever like a part where like you guys are kind of doing your thing and everybody kind of walks out and goes, well, all right, we'll just let them do their thing, and kind of leaves, like at a band practice or something? Like, does it ever get to that point where they're like, they're family, they got to work it out, I
mean, not specifically that. There's certainly like, because we practice at my dad's house, so like he'll go inside to like make dinner or whatever after practice, and like I just fully leave Rafa and Elliot behind. I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna go inside and hang out in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's funny. So going back to something you had said, were you so in working in that with them and that beginning of like starting to be a band, did you ever excuse me, did you ever want to do your own thing apart from them, or did you kind of just fall into accepting that was kind of where you wanted to go with them?
Well, like, I don't know. It started out, I was just doing it for me. Like I didn't have any plans to like do music. I was focused on, because I'm also a painter, I was focused on the visual aspect of art. And I was kind of just doing like covers and stuff for my own amusement. And then in joining the band, it helped me gain the confidence to do things for myself. Like before I joined the band, I had never done an open mic. Like it wasn't in the cards for me. Like Trainwreck was my only musical outlet because it was like contained. But like since joining the band, I have gone to open mics and like I have fun doing it now. And it's like, oh, I can feel good about standing up and playing by myself now.
Yeah, right. Wow. How awesome is that? Like, does that like from the beginning to now, like how have you grown from joining that band?
Oh, so much. It's also the fact that when I joined, I was like freshly 21.
Yeah.
So like you could tell, like watching the band, like our first show, like people have even commented to like my dad and Rafa, oh, Pearl has grown so much. Like just I am able to like take the spotlight and run with it kind of. Like at this point, I think it's like vaguely agreed that I'm the front man of the band because I just at this point feel confident in standing at the mic and like talking to the audience and like integrating like what's going on and like, hey, we fucked that last song up. My bad, but the next one's gonna be better. And like the confidence to be able to like say those kinds of things and like ad lib a joke or whatever. Like it's the like
you're comfortable.
Yeah, I'm comfortable because like I know the boys have got my back and like I know that we've worked hard, so like we can do it.
Wow. It's also it's like you also set the tone on the stage of how like things happen and like definitely in some of the songs when you play, like she's a big vocalist, so her vocals are just like there are songs that she sings with Chubasco that's just like, man, like for me, I'm like her range is really good, but she can also pair with Rafa's voice, but they also have like it camaraderie and like you can just tell that everybody just not all the time agrees, but it's just like not everybody gets, not everybody agrees all the time, but it's like it's family and it feels friendly. It's like they have a friendly like presence, but they have a rowdy, fun presence too. And so it's like if they mess up, they're real with it. They're like, sorry, technical difficulties, and it's like, like whatever. And it's just like it rolls off the back because it's just like that's how they are in practice. And so it just comes out and it's just like you're on the stage, you're rallying, you're jumping, you're, having fun together because that's just how it feels. It feels like you're with them, like.
I mean, going back to when we were talking about other concerts, like it's about the vibe.
It is.
You gotta like, bring the vibe of like, hey, we're trying to make this a positive experience for everyone.
Yeah,
for sure. So how do you feel now that you're a part of it? How do you feel about kind of that role of also sometimes being behind the band and supporting them behind it as well with Kiana and being able to make it easier on them as well, on the band?
How about this? What's it like being the only female in this boy band and then having also that relationship is like being the support to them? Because you have to, there's some parts with like you have to support, your dad and family and stuff like that. So yeah. What's it like being a girl in the boy band?
That part, there were certainly growing pains for everyone involved. I had to loosen up and the boys had to tighten up a little bit. Figuring out like, what?
Can you give us an example of that?
Oh, just like in the beginning, like we had to set the tone of like, okay, what jokes are we gonna make during practice? Because some of them made me mad. and like, I don't know, just like off-color comments. And I was like, hey, do better.
I love it.
Yeah. And like one specific, bringing it back to Bowling for Soup, on Orcus, there's a Halloween cover show that's been going on for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And the first year that we did that, we played as Bowling for Soup. And since I'm the big fangirl of them that I am, I took center stage on that.
Yeah.
And oh boy, I remember talking to you at one point about it, and I was like, I have to teach 3 boys 5 songs in 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah. And it was just like,
you're like, I'm gonna have to take a break after this. So I just need to rest because it was a lot. Like, because it's like, you have to get the attention of the other 3 guys because it's a short attention span when like the emotions are like in it, and like when you're learning a new song, like you're like focus, like we need to repeat this didn't sound good, we need to correct it. But when you have like 3 ADHD boys like looking around and like these squirrel moments, you're just like, I just need some stability, like some clarity, just stay focused for a little bit longer.
And it's also the fact that we were learning 5 songs at once, because we do that all the time. We have to. We're a band. We keep doing fresh material. But usually it's like 1 new song at a time, or maybe like 2 or 3 if we're pushing it. But like, oh boy, taking charge of the boys for 5 songs. And one of them, like, I had to rewrite the chords for it. Like, that took effort.
But it also, I think it brought you closer as a band, like having to learn at like a cover show like thing, like that definitely you were able to be like, listen, I need you to do this. Like this is, like, don't ask questions, just let's get this done. Like, and not like assert your authority, but like be able to be confident and be like, hey, I need to speak up about this. Like,
oh, it was definitely like the confidence building part. That specific show was a big part of building my confidence. Like before that, I would never say my band. I would say the band that I am in. But after I took charge for that show, I was like, no, this is my band. I am also a big part of this. And I feel confident in saying like, no, this is like mine too. It's not just a thing that I was added into.
You're like, I have led this band.
I was able to take that pride.
Battle. Battle of the band.
I mean, that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing to be able to come from, saying I'm in and feeling kind of like that third wheel type of attitude. To be able to come back and be like, no, this is my band. I do rep this band. I am proud of it, and I am proud of it.
It was a very good experience.
Internet people. So just in case anybody, we want to reiterate, if we go out at all, it's because they live on an island and I live in the middle of nowhere. So our internets can be, I don't know where that's coming from. Where's that coming from? Our internets can be fun. So as far as going in and out. So I apologize. But just to kind of give everybody an overall in the middle. But anyway, so being able to like do that, I think that's really fun, and I think that's really cool, and to take that position or take on that role, but had to have built your confidence and being able to be like, yes, I am a musician at this point. I'm not just doing it, So can you kind of like give us a little bit more of that, and like what that has done in the other parts of your life and has bleeded into the rest of your life?
I mean, it's a lot easier to just like speak up now about like, I don't know, opinions, or like, I don't know, if someone's a jerk to me, I can call them out now, where maybe I wouldn't have been able to like get myself to do that previously. It's I don't know, just like everyday confidence. Like sometimes I feel like it makes me walk taller. Like, I don't know.
I think it's also one of those things that I've seen is that, like, as a band, and like part of the follow-up question that we had was like, how does it, not just being on stage, but how are you able to support on the back end? And it's just like, that's another thing, is like keeping the voice in check, because sometimes, it gets a little out of line, and just being able, like, I've seen Pearl just be like, that's not okay. Like, for her to feel comfortable and be like, bro, stop. Like, it's not okay. Like, I'm not okay with that. And I'm expressing that you need to like stop. And for them to be like, word, heard, like, I hear you, I see you. And just like that confidence to know that she can speak up, even to support them too, because a lot of it is like when we're traveling, like, because there's, the drummer has a girlfriend, Ari, and she's great. And so it's like she's helping too. And so like we all try to be just like kind to each other. And when we're in that public setting, it's just like sometimes we gotta check each other and just be like, hey, bad attitude, not okay. Like, or if something happens that someone's beating themselves up, it's just like, it's all right, man. It's okay. Like, just pick yourself up. We're still doing it. And I've seen Pearl grow so much in that. And then also be like a support to me on the back end. Cause like there are times, like I think the Bullfrog Fest, it was like we were running the merch booth, and it's like, being able to be like sit there and just be like represent the band, and be able to just support from that angle while the guys go out and chit chat. The girls are just like sitting there like anti-social, like just like come to us and buy the things.
So I have a question on that note. What was it like in the beginning for you two, being the girlfriends of the band on the back end, and then having a girl in the band start to be in the band? How did you guys feel about that?
I felt fine. It's funny, I met Pearl at her 21st birthday. And then a couple months later, she walked me down the aisle. So like, so Pearl and I, like, our outside relationship, it began at Jimmy's, and I was the one who proposed to Rafa at Jimmy's property. So at like her dad's property. And so when we got married in 2020, Pearl walked me down the aisle. So like, if anybody were to join the band, I love that Pearl is in the band, because it's like, it feels like family. Like, her dad, like, I feel like he's taken us in, like, as his kids, as his own. And even like, I feel like she's more of like a sister, or, like a good best friend, than someone who I'm like, I can't believe she's in. It's just like, no, I'm grateful. I'm grateful she's there. I think every time like they have a show, I'm like, most of the time I show up because it's my husband's band, but a lot of the times I show up because I'm like, Pearl's gonna be there. Like, I got a friend in the band, and so it's like there's that fangirl, that I get to enjoy the band, but I also am like being there to support her and Jimmy and Elliot and my husband, and just like get to see it. It's really cool. I mean, for me,
it's definitely like family forward in a way.
It's wholesome, even though it's a punk band.
I mean, you guys are changing the game at this point.
I guess, yeah.
So, having that family atmosphere, has that made it easier for you all then to kind of integrate into each other's lives through the band?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's how I got to know Rafa and then Kayana, because of that. Like, I mean, I'm kind of an introvert, so like I probably wouldn't have made that like friendship connection like as strongly if I hadn't joined the band, and then we hung out once a week for like, I don't know, 2 to 5 hours, depending on how long the practice is. Like,
And then it's become something where it's like, even like holidays are family events or band events, because I figured the band is family to us because we're not from Marcus. So Rafa and I were, we're foreigners really. And Pearl grew up on the island and Jimmy's been here for 30 years. And so it's just like Jimmy welcomed us in. And so it's like we do feel like we're locals. We do feel like we're part of the island. And so we feel like family. And so it's like we've done Thanksgivings and Christmases together, like where it's like all the band members just show up and we're having Thanksgiving at Jimmy's house because we're family, like, and we've been welcomed in, and it's just, I don't know, it is wholesome and it feels good to have a home. Like it's very, Chubasco is home. I feel for a lot of people, not just for like me or my husband, but like for our community on Orcas, like if Chubasco is playing on Orcas, people go and it's like they feel like they're at home, they're welcomed, they're loved, like they're seen because they're singing the songs. Like Emery last time, like one of her friends got up on stage in the middle of a song and started singing, and they were like, "Yeah, let's keep it going." Like,
the community has definitely like fully embraced us.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. And having known so many bands now and seeing so many, that's not common outside of that. Like you don't go up there and play unless they ask you or sing or anything. So to be able to be so lax and to like be like, yeah, I know this song, I'm gonna go up. I have, as an audience member, I know that I have the freedom to be able to do that and you guys won't be upset. I mean, dude, I would be up on stage constantly with everybody I know. Man, I'd be like, I love that song. Let's sing it.
And it's just like people will, start the chant and start the hey, oh, Chubasco, and just like randomly, like if they see them together, like we could just be having Saturday lunch at, pop up, or the market, and they're like, hey, oh, Chubasco, like just like it's cool. It's a cool fun, and like you said, the atmosphere is just really cool too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's me and Dad especially. Like when we're together, we get recognized because of that.
Do you really?
I mean, the blue-haired chick and the old guy with the big fluffy beard, like we're kind of easy to notice.
You're like, you can't miss us, really.
We stand out a little bit sometimes.
It's such an eclectic bunch. So it's like the bands, you have this cholo, like Mexican, you have this old biker guy that has a big old white beard and like farmer's overalls. You have a punk rock blue-haired girl, and you have a Texan, a big lots of energy, big energy, chef who's in the on the background just hammering away. And so it's just such an eclectic bunch. And so when you recognize them when they're out in public, which is fun.
One of my friends when she came to see the like Battle of the Bands community thing, she was like, I especially can't wait for you guys because even if you don't sound that great, you're going to be interesting to look at.
Just the look alone is going to be entertaining.
Right. You kind of lean into like, what are they going to do? What do they sound like? Because there are songs that are punk rock. There are songs that are, I don't know,
like surfy. There are like country forward songs. The eclectic look is mirrored by the eclectic sound.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's so true. Yeah, it's great.
So then, do you have plans of kind of going solo and doing your own thing, or do you think you'll just stay with them?
I mean, I don't really have any aspirations to like be famous or anything. So it's like with the band, it's like we can go places together. I don't have the drive to go places on my own as a musician. Like the furthest I'm gonna go personally is open mic night.
Yeah. Do you get asked to be a musician in anybody else's bands?
It's been brought up once. One of my friends wanted to make a girl group. That kind of fell through, but I don't know. Could be fun if anyone ever gets organized enough to do it.
Yeah, no kidding. That's the first part, is to be organized to be as a band.
Yeah.
Um, so kind of as we're wrapping up, I really want to know like uh the impact, I think, on how uh music has influenced your life, and like the impact of what that's going to do for you for the future, and how that is going to kind of shape where your path is going to go. I know you don't want to be famous, but like, let's say you want to be a painter or something. Like, is it going to be in tandem? Do you have like where do you see yourself going at this point?
I mean, like music is always going to be part of my life. It has been, it will be. I'm not giving up singing until my vocal cords are torn out of my throat. But like, even if it's just by myself or with friends, like I just get the joy from like playing the music and creating the beauty of sound. And like that's also why I'm a painter. It's like I just love the creation of it and like that energy. So it's like even if I only sing, only play by myself in my like kitchen at 3 a.m., I'm gonna keep doing that. And like
Yeah.
the band is just a good way to bring that to other people in a way that I don't need to, but it's so fun and it's so like rewarding being able to share it. So yeah, just like I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and that's that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Keep making memories.
Mm.
I think that's the biggest thing I've learned about being on the backside is like I get to be there for the memories. Like
Yeah.
and just being able to like travel and like going off islands or going to different um events or whatever. It's just like I get to be able to take those pictures and like have those memories and just be part of it. And I just really like that too. Of
Yeah.
how like it's it's simplistic. Like there is a drive to play more publicly, but it's also like you go and you remember. Like you remember the first time that you hear a Chabasco song, I think. I don't know. Like because I do. Like I mean, the first time I heard Rafa play was at practice. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, like his voice is very unique. The look, like it just was like, you remember, it's kind of like your first kiss, you remember it, and I think that that's something that, being a part of the band's like getting to have those memories are my favorite part of how, you know,
Yeah.
how you guys are growing and like even seeing that like the more that you play how much more people enjoy it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean it's definitely something that like I think impacts everybody in the long run, their life in the long run. In the circle that you I'm sorry, the circle that you eventually uh create being in that band, and all of that. Like and the dynamic of everything, between y'all. And you're still I mean I'm assuming you're still in your kind of early 20s.
I'm turning 25 this year, so
Yeah,
I'm
you're
in the
right.
mid now.
Yeah. You're
He's
not
the
at late.
youngest member of the band, so
Yeah. So like you're still in that period of your 20s where like you have this awesome band that you can be a part of, and regardless of like how long it lasts, which everybody hopes for forever, but you can still take that experience and like really grow with it, and then you'll have that dynamic and that understanding going forward, if anything happened to them as a band and they broke up or something. Like that's so cool to kind of have so early on, and not say starting the band with your dad, right? He's older. So you kind of have that dynamic of knowing kind of going into it knowing, hey, I'm the youngest, but also this is amazing. This is awesome. I get to spend my 20s being in a fucking band.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like
and being able to say it is just so good.
Yeah.
I think like it's like heartwarming to see you and your dad play together. Like, you know, because it's just, I don't know. It's just, there's sometimes I get a little steamy eyed when you guys are playing together because you play close together and when you're standing together and I'm like taking pictures, of course. And you know, there's just these sweet moments between father and daughter that I just like, I get steamy eyed because I know them both and I'm just like, it's so sweet. They're playing together. And they're like,
yeah.
Hey, oh, too. You know, like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just such a beautiful thing to me because like, you know, what a cool experience to be with your dad. You know, like
not many people get to have that. And I think that's the cool thing that what I'm saying being so young is like it's so cool that at such a young age you get to do that with your dad and to be a memory you guys get to go on with regardless of how long he does it for. Like that's going to be a lasting impression more than anything in your guys' relationship, I would imagine.
Yeah, being able to share that and like share the milestones of like where we've come in the band, being able to like do that together is like so rewarding. It's so like won't trade it for anything. Like
I get emotional thinking about it because it's just so sweet. I'm like, it's just because I have so much love for both of you, and it's just like it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Oh. Don't cry now.
I'm sorry. I was like, I'm not gonna cry today, but apparently because you know, I just like, and it's just one of those things where it's just like I love you guys so much, and like that part of that family feeling, like feeling loved and accepted by you guys is just it's huge. Like it's huge to me, and like you know, like how she walked me down the aisle, like there's a lot of like significance for that for me in my life, and like how he's you know how Jimmy took in Rafa and it's just like, you know, like, hey bud, like treats him like his own. It's just like it's it's so great to feel so much love. And it's such a beautiful thing. That's why I get so emotional with like seeing, you know, pops and because I call him dad too. Like I'm like, hey, do you have dad things, you know, or whatever, like, hey, did you talk to dad about this? You know, and it's like that for me, it's just like, you know, being it's not, I know that she's not going to be like, oh, you can't talk, you know, like, it's just like one of those things where it's like, we're family and there's love. And every time we like leave, we're just like, don't forget how much I love you. Like that's, Jimmy always says that. It's like every time we leave band practice or whatever, if we haven't seen each other in a while, he's like, you know, don't forget how much I love you. And it's just like, you feel it when you're with them. And it makes me emotional because it's so cute. I love it.
He's a serial emotional adopter.
That's why I'm like you to know Jimmy is to love him for sure.
So would that make him an emotional support person?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of people would say that.
Oh my gosh, that's such a true statement. Yeah, he's
I mean, I think it also comes like at least personally speaking, because it was like just me and dad growing up, knowing that like we kind of just like pulled everyone else like into the fray, sort of. It's like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The doors were always open to have new family members. And I think that being Trainwreck being like available for everybody and anybody to come in and not to be judged on how they play music, not to be judged on the way that they sound or how they look, but it was just very open arms. And it's such an honor to get to experience it, but to be a part of it too. And I think that's really cool that you get to also have that legacy too, because you carry that with you.
Yeah.
Within the band too, of like creating that open arms space to love on people, because it is, you're loving on people, and sometimes it's hard because it's hard.
It's hard because people are difficult. That's just the simple, you know, no matter what people think about themselves or others, you know, it's hard to because everybody has grown up, so you might have similarities, but everybody has grown up in a different environment with different people. So, to have a band that brings all these different cultures and people and all this together is what I think I love about it, is that you guys are so cultured, yet um you can bring all these people to it, and it's this like family atmosphere. It's this love of music and the love of the band, and it's just a really cool thing that you guys have created, and it's really amazing. I think that's going to be the lasting legacy of this band, is especially on such a small island, is you know your guys' band being able to prove that love wins over everything, and being a family and being a unit, and you know friends, and all of that is what's important.
Mm-hmm.
The drive behind it.
Yeah, it's a tribe for sure. It's definitely a drum circle, if you will.
Yeah, you got to keep up with the beat. Yeah.
Then you always got that 1-3, like someone's always off.
Oh my God, right?
Pointing a finger.
That, and if you want to know, that was always me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was always me. I was always off because I was going and doing my own thing.
We have a couple of those.
Yeah. I feel like all drummers are kind of that way.
Okay.
That's kind of what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, we're fun people. We like to just do our. I mean, you don't play the drums to be, like so. Because I play 3 different, I kind of understand the dynamic of where each sits, and like a piano player is just kind of like, blah, 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 they're this like free spirited whatever, and then the guitarist is like, yeah, they keep the energy, and then the drummer's like, well, fuck y'all, I'm just gonna keep the beat and do whatever the hell I want. I'll just hit some, cymbals or play a solo. I don't know. We're just kind of like not so much the free for all, but we're definitely the like, yeah, I'm still responsible for making sure y'all do what you got to do, but screw it, I'm just gonna do what I want. Like, at least that's me.
You keep the beat so that other people can play along, but you're like, yeah.
Yeah. But then you kind of just make it your own, and that's what I love about it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool and really fun, and you guys have such a great energy, and all y'all do like a really great job being together as a band and creating that atmosphere for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come and see a live show so you can experience it too.
I cannot wait for that. And as many people don't know, I live well, man, if you include the ferry, probably 9.5 hours away from them. So I don't get to go as often as I would like to, because I'm on the other side of Washington, where they're on the Seattle side. But yeah, I definitely want to get over there and see them live, see you guys live, and experience that whole atmosphere. That would be cool, because I can imagine it's a lot of fun. I've seen like a little bits here and there, and it just looks like a lot of fun that I would want to hang out and be like, yes, I know these people. We'll
make it happen at some point.
Yeah,
I'm with the band, I promise.
Yes.
I have gotten to say that so many times. It's amazing. This is my favorite part about like doing my show is, shameless plug, but I get, if with the local music scene, I mean 90%, 98% of the time I get to get into a band for a show for free. And so I always am like, people will come up and talk to you, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with them. I got to come in with them because I know so-and-so or whatever. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. And it always gives me like this tiny little like boost of like, I am that cool.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, it took me a while to get used to being that like in the band. Like,
yeah.
Like,
of course.
If it's like a ticketed event and it's like, oh, can I go in? Did you pay for your ticket? I'm in the band, so I can go.
Yeah.
I used to have a one of those really chunky ones like this that's about this big, pretty thick, and it used to say "I'm with the band," and I would always wear it when I go to shows. And I'm like, yeah, I have a special thing, like I'm with them, you know. And they're like, oh, okay, you can go through.
Yeah.
You know?
That was your all access pass.
That was my all access pass. Yeah. For the longest time. And then I lost it. But yeah, I mean, it's so much fun being, you know, that other half of being able to be a support and on the outside and not being so intimate in it, you know, and like you guys are, and being able to support the band in a different kind of way, and people recognizing that, like, hey, there's this you know, collective behind them, making it possible for them to be up there on stage and entertain you, you know. So that's what I love about it, is just the full on like love you have for every band when you go in to see them, or because like if it's a ticketed show, or you know, it's door entry, whatever that is, like, you know, that's $20 less than everybody's getting, right? That can make or break it. And so depending on where that money's going, but you know, it's cool to be like, hey, I am I'm able to come in and really enhance what you guys are doing and support and help and be backup too, which is why, you know, we're here and why we do this podcast, is because we want to show that, like, you know, me and Kiana want to show that, like, you can be that person, and you can, it doesn't matter what angle you're coming from, you know, the back end where you're actually the girlfriends, or you're in the band and you have to help on the outside because the guys in the band need help, or whatever the case is, like, or me being completely outside of it in a show that just interviewed them, and being able to be outside like that. But you know, I think it's really cool if you go see a band, or you know, see these guys or whatever, just offer to help, or go up and talk, or, you know, because it's really important to support them, not just be the fan and be there and enjoy it, but also, you know, if they need something, or you know something, or you see somebody needs water or whatever. That's what I started doing before I really got to know bands. And I'd be like, hey guys, like, I'd go up the stage in the middle of, you know, like intermission or something. Does anybody need water? Like, I see you guys are kind of parched. Do we need to get some water to y'all? Do you need a beer? Like, what do you need? You know? And eventually, you know, it turns into what you guys have created, which is just a loving, awesome atmosphere of people that can just come up and feel that comfortable, you know.
Everybody needs support.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Well, Pearl, it has been fan-fucking-tastic to have you on. I
Thank
mean,
you for having me.
Yay, first guest! Yay!
Our first guest. Yay, we got through it. Woo! How do you feel? I heard this might have been your first podcast. Is that true?
Yeah, unless you count me chatting through my laptop with you last time, but
I don't count that. No.
me neither.
No. We got to have you in person. No, I'm just kidding.
Chatting, like, I'm with you.
Yeah. So if you don't know, go over to the local music scene on IG, and this is where we met. Where I personally, maybe just kind of background of like how me and Kiana got on here, is that you know, I had them on my show, and so me and her just thought it would be fun to like start this whole thing, because they are on the back end and they do get to do the supporting role behind it, and there's such a need for that, and so many local bands have it. So we were like, let's just talk to them and talk it out, and what it's like, and advice, and how that is, and the relationships and everything. So you know, it's just so much fun to like bring people on like Pearl and have fun, and see a different perspective of that part of the support of these bands. But if you want to see her talk on her laptop while she's in COVID, while we're interviewing, it's priceless. And I really feel like you all should be a part of that, because it was so much fun and hilarious at times, because I had to keep up with what she was typing.
It was funny. It was funny because her and I were actually typing. Like, so we were using my laptop as we were recording for the LMS, and she was at home, and I was like, yeah, you can chime in. She's asking what this is. Like, talk to her. And she was like,
yeah.
oh, should I? What should I? And I was like, yeah, just get on there, like text her. And so she starts getting on the laptop and talking to you. But the whole time I was like, go get out there. You know, like you're part of the band.
Right.
I was just glad there was a chat function.
Well, I appreciate you doing both of them and being willing to come on here and be a little bit more vulnerable with what you're doing with them, but also yourself and sharing, that part of yourself and your experiences and stuff. And I appreciate you too for the last time of like being there, but not being there all at the same time. It was fantastic and it's so much fun. And I encourage you all to go watch it because that show was just bonkers and so much fun. So, but yeah, thank you for coming. I think you're great.
Do you wanna ask the last big question?
You go right ahead. You do it. Go ahead. Wherever you are.
She's like, get after it. Okay,
Yeah, do it.
The one question that had us really thinking that we want to keep like asking is, if music was your biggest teacher, what is the lesson that you've learned from it? Like, what's your big takeaway from that?
Thank you for asking me earlier so I could come up with a response. She asked me before we started the recording just so I wouldn't be blindsided.
So you're like sitting here calculated, waiting for it. Like,
yeah. It's a big one to ask because it's like it could be very weighted and like it takes a little time to chew on. So I asked her before, I was like, just so you know, it's coming up.
Yeah.
And the answer that I have formulated, I think I would say, if music was my teacher, what it taught me is everything takes work and takes effort, but sometimes you got to just go with the flow. Like you can't be so regimented about everything because then A, it's not fun. B, you're stiff. So it's like won't be as good. And like it's the vibes, it's the energy. You have to like flow with the energy, but also you got to put in the work.
Yeah. Being in a band is a lot of work. Yeah. 100%. You have to be able to be fluid, and take it in stride, but also keep yourself motivated and determined to keep the band going too.
Yeah.
And be that kind of driving force too. So that's a great answer, man. Good job.
If there was any encouragement you could give any potential band members, or I would say, what would you tell yourself younger you about what you know?
That's a great question. Yeah.
Like how would you encourage yourself to pursue your dreams?
You didn't ask me this one before.
I know. This one was on the spot. I'm sorry.
I think it's do it so you don't regret not doing it, and just go for it. Like it's being able to like say you've done it, being able to just go out there and put yourself out there and just bring energy into the world is like so rewarding. It's like, it's scary.
Yeah.
Not gonna deny that. It's definitely scary, but it's so worth it. And not doing it when you could have is a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Wow.
Like,
that's
go,
a great
girl, go. Just do the things. Do the hard things. Go, go, go.
Yeah. My motto in life is you can do hard things. Because I think that's the problem is you get to a point where you're like, oh, I got asked to be in a band. That means I have to like, people get this thought and this idea of almost anxiety about it because they're like, I have to be on stage. I have to dress up. I have to dress a certain way. All the people are going to be looking at me, like just at me. I have to like, all these things that people, I don't know. Those are just some examples that I'm guessing because that's how I felt. But like, all these things that people go through. Some people are just natural at it and they can go up and be like, what up, peeps? Me, I have to like get through all of the fucking shit before I can get up there and do that. But to have so much confidence is great, and to just be able to go out and do it, and to I'm sorry, my cat is sleeping in the most awkward position. It made me laugh. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have looked. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really amazing and so awesome and so much fun. And I love it. I just love it. I love that dynamic with you. Yeah. Anyway, yes. I don't even know how you got. I know this one.
I can't do that one.
Oh, you got a heart. How did you do that? Huh?
How did I do that?
Did you?
Oh, look. See, I love you. Oh,
I'm finding new features on this.
Right? Oh my God. Don't get anybody I really love on here. Holy shit. So yeah, anyway, do you have anything else you want to like tell us or say to everybody or anything?
I don't know. Listen to more music. Even if you listen to a lot, listen to more.
There's never enough.
There's never enough music.
All right. Well, everybody, we thank you for joining us and listening to this podcast. It was so much fun and to kind of get another perspective from our first guest, which is amazing. And so much fun. There, you only get to be a first guest once, so I feel like it's amazing. Also, we only get to be your first podcast to be on once, so
exactly.
Yeah, you know, I feel honored in that way. So, I feel like we should have medals or some shit, you know?
Right. You have a trophy for participating. Thank you.
The end of the season, we'll be like, and the first podcast to be on is this one. Is
it like the Dundee, like The Office, where he has the Dundee Award? Yeah. You know, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we should just give out bandanas. You know,
there we go.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I need to get a bandana because you keep wearing one, and I keep feeling like I'm left out. So I really need to work on that.
I wore the blue and teal.
Yeah. I gotta get one. Yeah.
Pearl and her blue hair.
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of wanted to match.
Yeah. So. I think that should be our thing. Like, I need to get a blue and teal one too because that's our colors. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I need to work on that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like look at us. Well,
anyway, everybody, we really appreciate you. If you want to donate to help us continue to keep doing this podcast and keep going and being able to do stuff, please donate to at LMS 2019 on Venmo. We really appreciate anything you could help us do with keeping this show running. There are expenses that will be, happen. So we definitely want to be able to keep going and giving you content like this. So your donations are huge for us, and we really, really appreciate it if you guys do that. But also, please subscribe to our YouTube, the Lady Band Tits podcast, and bring your friends along because we want to be able to share with everybody too. If you're really into the notification thing, just like punch all them bells so that you can get the first one out that we put out. We'll have some out here pretty soon, starting in May. So, be sure to see all those. And yeah, I'm so excited that we had a guest. It just makes me so happy. Makes it just so flavorful. You add the spice, my friend. We just had to throw you in there a little bit and give it that chef's kiss.
The parsley on top.
Yeah, I was gonna say the whipped cream on the pancakes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that hair. We got to have that parsley on top,
Exactly.
Oh yeah. She has a whole bunch of herbs on her teeth, on her arm. So like her tattoos are all like garden herbs. And so she has she is the parsley on top.
Yeah. I'm the garnish.
Well, wasn't that not? I didn't even know that. That wasn't even planned, y'all. I just, intuition, friends.
There you go.
Okay, everybody. We love you. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on the auto, if you're watching, thanks for watching. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.